What is going on, guys? Welcome to another video of this series, the greatest transformation of all time, documented here on YouTube. We're walking into another deadlift bench day. So, you saw the title. I'm going to kind of explain, and actually this clip will kind of explain it here in a moment for me, right there. So, came into this deadlift workout, prepared to pull heavy, prepared to grip and rip everything off the floor. It looks like my hand had a alternative agenda, so I guess sometime between last week's training session and now I somehow injured my ring finger, so I wasn't able to grip on the left side, which is usually my overhand when I'm pulling alternating. So I had to adjust in this workout, so you see me here throw on the Versa grips, which again is my fallback on that, just because still want to do the workout, still want to get the weight up, but you gotta adapt sometimes. Sometimes your body's not 100% healed. So we're here warming up, 265 here, and just kind of going through the motions. You see speed's pretty normal, but you'll notice as I go through these workouts, my speed tends to decrease with the straps or Versa grips or whatever you're using. It's because the slack in there, when I tend to pull, I have to pull that out first, and then the bar starts moving. So in my personal opinion, I would rather pull with my hands in contact with the bar rather than having a layer in front of it. So we're here still warming up. You can start to see here everything's pretty consistent and things. I'm just trying to stay tight to kind of get that pop off the floor. And ultimately, it's just about me finding my groove here. So I don't normally use the Versa grips unless it's sumo deadlift, which normally I will do to preserve my grip for my conventionals later after the fact. So definitely something I'm used to, but not with this weight, just because I tend to do T2s for my sumos, so they're not progressing at the same rate and as heavy as my conventional deads are. So just taking my time with the setup. I prefer to grip and rip off the floor, just kind of get tight, go down to the bar, rip it off the ground, find my positioning, and then go from there. So with these Versa grips, I have to get set first, so I have to be down there with the bar, which I don't really prefer. It's not my preference. I would prefer to just kind of get tight at the top and then just explode through. So the speed is my biggest confidence when pulling, and usually if that thing's moving correctly, then basically any weight I'm going to pull is going to be fine. So just kind of taking precautions here, pulling up the shorts, just because of that friction. Whenever I tend to pull, I tend to get stuck right at lockout with the thigh area. So as I'm getting leaner, as you're probably seeing in this video series now though, getting easier and easier. I'm getting closer and closer to the bar to make it a lot more efficient of a lockout and a lot cleaner looking. So just grinding away because I know that it will come with. So throwing on the belt here for this set, acclimating. So obviously I gotta get that belt in position, and then I have to then get down there. So I gotta kind of feel like what that feels like just to get used to it. Usually if I lock the belt up with my normal grip and rip, I can just I know exactly what the spot is, but here I gotta make sure that I have enough space between me and my gut so I can get down to that bar. So luckily with these Versa grips, I can kind of reach, find the position that works for me, and then just kind of go from there. So pretty decent finish there, pretty smooth and consistent, not as fast as I would like. I like to kind of explode all the way through a lift, get done with it as quickly as possible, kind of move on to the next one. That's kind of my mental go-to. So here we are. This is 485. Yeah, and you're going to notice here the struggle with the lockout. Of course, shorts going halfway up on one side, and that's what just makes it so much more difficult to me, though. So I can get tighter with the alternating because of that underhand grip, and I can just kind of rotate that lat in. That's usually what kind of locks me in and gets me through this. So another angle here. I go a little bit wider on this one just because of the grip. So there's a point of diminishing returns, though, just because the wider you go, generally the longer range of motion. So for me, I'm not trying to overdo this, but also I don't want to get too narrow so that I can't get my hips through, which is another issue with me. So as we get leaner, definitely should get easier, but we're just working through here. So got a cool little angle here, last set, and you're going to kind of see the lockout issue here, but I think I went a little bit narrower at this set, and it's just struggle city as usual with these freaking deadlifts, trying to get my hips through. Working on getting tighter, and ultimately that's the most important aspect. Then today, this training session was not very good. Front squats, I just could not stay tight. That bar was kind of drifting out in front of me, and I was just doing what I could do to get through with it. some days are just not going to be good. Usually after I have my hell week, which is usually the worst, my performance is actually decent. But when I come back the second week, then I kind of feel the accumulation of all that fatigue, as well as feeling as the weight starts to ramp up, I start to feel that fatigue as well too, though. So it's kind of like double-edged sword on both fronts, where I'm getting strong and stuff too, though, but I'm having issues on that. So this is the following day, bench press as usual. So trying to get tight, trying to really focus on keeping that upper back engaged, which I tend to loosen on every lift that I do, just because I'll sacrifice positioning to get the speed here. So you can see that's the most egregious example there, where I just kind of lost tightness. I'm like, all right, I got to find this again. But also my triceps were kind of killing me from this workout. So we're just adapting with what we got. So Team Green Power Ranger here, clearly. Summoning the Dragon's Orders to try to go through this workout, but we're just going and maintaining. I'm noticing my bench and my OHP tend to be the most affected right now, though, which has never happened before. But this is also the deepest and most dedicated I've ever been to a cut. So I'm just taking what I've got here, and just as long as I hit my numbers, as long as I get through this, it's all that matters to me, to be honest. So I will grind all the way through. You can see stuff is moving pretty well here. I mean, these are just warm-ups, but at the same time, like, your warm-ups will tend to give you an idea of how the max weight's going to move. If you're not confident in your warm-ups, that max weight's going to give you some issues. So you'll notice here also that I kind of skipped out in the accessories from that deadlift day, and that's just because nothing really looked well that day. I just kind of went through the movements and motions and didn't feel like recording anything. It was just not a good day all around. So you can see that peak of that moon belly here. But we're slowly just working up, nice and consistent. For me, it's mostly about just finding the positioning on the bench. So I'm not quite a wide grip bencher. I'm also trying to be less of a narrow grip. So I'm kind of in between there. But sometimes you just find a spot and it just tends to work out with you. So that's all we're really doing here. And I kind of found that here. And I'm just sticking with it, especially as these weights get heavier and heavier. So taking my time here, of course, just trying to focus on getting, you'll notice I'll retract that scapula and just try to drive it and sit on my traps in the bench, and then kind of bring my feet down after the fact so I can drive through. But this is moving pretty well, though. It's 245, so like nothing impressive or anything like that. But again, working our way up on the ladder to get through these heavier and heavier sets. So to me, at least, like, felt like heck, but confidence was there after I looked at the footage. So got a cool little bokeh shot here. I guess I set this up where the trap bar is, but you still see the movement here, and you'll still see the efficiency of speed and stuff like that. So nice, decent pause, and then just, a little interesting change up of angle, just because I'm kind of limited with this lens, and I'm also kind of limited with how many people are in the gym too. So as long as I get the work done and I can document, that's really all I care about. But try to do my best to get multiple angles depending on the set. So here we are. See, we kind of shift a little bit through. Now we're framing it with the trap bar, but you'll see here, getting tight again, driving through, and every bench is different. Everyone's got a wider, narrower bench. It just depends. Some are slippery, some are pretty, have a decent amount of friction where you can get tight. But yeah, you'll see here. I think this cut's just kind of starting to weigh down on me. So I've been doing this since middle July. So we're like 20, 21ish, 22ish pounds down, and weight loss is definitely slowing down, but body recomp is, going, and I'm increasing my working capacity. So naturally things will slow down. You just got to be smart and kind of plan around it. So top set here, and this is probably one of the better sets I've done. This angle kind of exemplifies that here too. Just touch and then press. I got to stop sinking that bar so much into my chest, because when I try to get that pop, I hit like a speed bump, and then I got to finish that lift, and that's, pretty evident there when I did that, just how tight I was feeling and sore my triceps and everything were. So, but like I said, we're moving on. Got a lot more pressing to do. We did a lot of pressing throughout the week, and to me, it's mostly just about getting through those sets. As long as I can put the numbers up on the board and just keep going and follow my program, nothing's regressing really. It's just getting harder just with fatigue, and you can see this here on this set. But we're just grinding, driving through. It's all we can do. Third rep is always the most difficult, but as long as I'm making little changes and stuff and trying to get more efficient, that's all that really matters to me. So progress is progress in any way. As long as I'm staying injury free, I'm happy about that. So of course, OHP, pretty typical of my bench days. Lighter weight this week. Didn't show any warm-ups just because of the 160, it's kind of in between what I'm doing. So, but again, here I'm just trying to keep the upper back tight. Trying to lock in that torso positioning, like I said before, with this freaking gut. just kind of throws everything off. So I wear that belt in a position where I can get nice and tight brace, and then just kind of go from there. So definitely lower than I normally would do on a deadlift or squat's probably the same position, but yeah. And then this is actually, I think this is a PR. So this is the 10 rep week essentially of the Rippler. No, sorry, GNTAT. So this is the hypertrophy phase where we're just kind of working up to sets of 10 and then doing back offs 1 to 2 away from failure. So generally I try to do 8 reps after the 10th rep or 10th rep initial set. So this is, I feel every pound of this weight. So it was 105, just kind of got done with it, and then I did my back off sets with that. So I was pretty confident there. So getting that work in and building that muscle, just kind of working my way through. And then ultimately it's just, again, like I said before, sticking with the plan, things like that. So this is 80 for sets of same. So 10 and then 9 to 8, whatever works for you, whatever you can get AMRAP wise, at least in my med. So I think I got 10 on the first set and then just 8 on these, and like with the weight that I'm doing on these, and the addition to all the pressing, like my usually triceps and shoulders just absolutely wrecked. So like I said, it's just going through the motions. So ultimately it's just as long as I can maintain what I'm maintaining while I'm cutting, kind of making little incremental progress, that's all I care about. Calories and stuff, like I'll always readjust if it's anything egregious, but hey man, we're still moving, we're still putting in work, and we're still able to do what we need to do. So another T3 exercise for GNTAT is the Arnold press. So doing this, getting this done, and then just kind of working our way through. So ultimately it's about getting the reps in. So follow for a little bit more detailed workouts, but that's pretty much the end of what I filmed here. So follow the journey, like, comment, subscribe, and let's see what happens to this body. Okay, all right man, peace out.